Humans have been pretty smug about fire for a long time. We discovered it, we mastered it, we built entire civilizations on the back of it. Fire is basically our thing, our trademark, our whole brand. Except, and this is going to sting a little, we are not the only species that uses fire deliberately. There is a bird in Australia that has been doing it for thousands of years, possibly longer, and it does not use fire to cook, or to stay warm, or to keep predators away. It uses fire to hunt. Stay with me until the end, because the last part of this story involves Indigenous Australian knowledge that scientists dismissed for decades, and eventually had to admit was right all along. Meet the Firehawks, 3 birds that figured out something humans thought only humans knew. The birds in question are the Black Kite, the Whistling Kite, and the Brown Falcon. All 3 are raptors, birds of prey, native to the Australian savanna. And for as long as Indigenous Australians can remember, these birds have been observed doing something that should not be possible, according to everything we assumed about animal intelligence. When a wildfire breaks out across the landscape, instead of flying away from it like every other sensible creature, these birds fly toward it. They circle the fire's edge. They watch. And then, and here's the part that changes everything, they pick up burning sticks or smoldering embers in their talons or beaks, carry them, and drop them in unburnt grass ahead of the fire line. Deliberately, intentionally, to start new fires. To flush out the insects, lizards, frogs, and small mammals that are fleeing the flames, straight into the open where the birds can pick them off with ease. They are not accidentally carrying embers. They are using fire as a tool to drive prey. That is not instinct. That is strategy. Science didn't believe it. Indigenous Australians had been saying it for thousands of years. Here is where it gets embarrassing. For science, not for the birds. Indigenous Australians, particularly Aboriginal communities across the Northern Territory and Queensland, have described firehawk behavior in oral traditions, stories, and direct accounts for generations. Millennia, possibly. It was part of their understanding of the land, of fire ecology, of the way animals behave. And for the most part, Western scientists either ignored it or explained it away. It wasn't until 2018, when a peer-reviewed paper was published in the Journal of Ethnobiology, that the broader scientific world sat up and paid attention. The paper documented multiple first-hand accounts from Aboriginal rangers, firefighters, and land managers. People who had watched these birds carry fire with their own eyes repeatedly across multiple locations. The evidence was consistent, detailed, and impossible to keep dismissing. The Firehawks were real, the behavior was real, and the people who knew about it first had been right all along. They just hadn't been listened to. What this actually means for how we think about animal intelligence. For a long time, the use of tools was considered the defining line between humans and everything else. Then we found chimps using sticks to extract termites. Then crows bending wire into hooks. Then dolphins wearing sea sponges on their snouts to protect against the seafloor while foraging. Every time we draw a line between human intelligence and animal intelligence, something comes along and steps right over it. The firehawks are another step. Because using a tool is one thing. Using fire, controlling it, transporting it, deploying it strategically to manipulate the environment and increase your hunting success, that is something else entirely. That is planning. That is cause and effect thinking. That is, by most definitions, a level of cognition we did not think birds were capable of. And yet here we are. 3 birds in the Australian outback, running a controlled burn operation, completely unbothered by our assumptions about what animals can and cannot do. They might actually be spreading wildfires, and that is a serious problem. Here is the part of the story that tips from fascinating into genuinely alarming. If firehawks are deliberately spreading fire across unburnt grass to flush out prey, and the evidence strongly suggests they are, then they may be contributing to the spread of wildfires in northern Australia in ways that nobody had previously accounted for. Australia already has one of the most fire-prone landscapes on Earth. The fires are bigger, more frequent, and more destructive than ever. And while climate change and land management are the dominant factors, researchers are now asking a question that would have seemed absurd 10 years ago. Are birds making it worse? Are raptors actively carrying fire across fire breaks, past roads, over rivers, into areas that would otherwise have been safe? The honest answer right now is we don't fully know. But the fact that we are even asking the question tells you everything about how much this discovery has shifted our understanding of what is happening out there in the Australian bush. So the next time someone tells you that humans are the only species intelligent enough to use fire, you can tell them about the Black Kite, the whistling kite, and the brown falcon. 3 birds in the Australian outback that have been running controlled burns longer than most human civilizations have existed. They don't have thumbs, they don't have language, they don't have any of the things we credit for our own intelligence. They just figured out fire, and they've been using it ever since. If this genuinely surprised you, and it should have, share it with someone who still thinks animals aren't that smart. And subscribe, because we are just getting started.